4 teams, 5 perspectives, 1 division, 1 war room. Welcome to West War Room Rivals, your home for everything AFC West. From breaking news and game day analysis to heated debates, bold predictions, and unforgettable guests. This is West War Room Rivals, where rivals collide. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to West War Room Rivals. It is Wednesday night, which means it's guys' night. We are talking all AFC West here in the War Room. We are fully staffed right now, other than Matt, who's serving in the Navy. Matt, we miss and love you, buddy. Got Shovix at the top. Ethan over there, if he looks familiar, it's because he did a show earlier today. He launched Aftershock with Luke on the West War Room Rivals channel. Ethan, if you had to give a press game conference for your first episode, what would you say?
Tired. I've never gone a back-to-back like this. I feel like I need to pull a Joel Embiid and like sit this one out.
Okay, right. No back-to-backs, huh?
Yeah, no back-to-back.
Yeah.
No, it was good. You guys should listen
good.
to it. If you're interested in hearing about the 52-man or 53-man roster, we just went through, predicted it all. The Chargers roster is a lot more set, but there's definitely gonna be surprising cuts because, especially, I don't know if you guys saw. I guess I'll talk about it now. But Vita Vea,
right?
The Chargers have the second highest odds to get him, only behind the Rams, which is appalling. But so if they get Vita Vea, there's like no room on the roster at all, essentially. Okay. So there'll be surprising cuts.
Yeah. So not only did Ethan's show debut today, but yesterday we had our series premiere of Beyond the Rivalry. We had Lois Cook, who joined us, who is wide receiver for the DC Divas out of the WFA. Shout out to Lois for joining the show. She was a great time. Austin always comes through with the guests. They get better and better, it seems like, every time. So shout out to Austin for getting Lois on the show. But Shovix, are you guys ready to talk some training camp? Obviously, everyone's team is up and running, and there's a lot of news that's been floating around.
Yeah, it's here. We've been waiting for this for quite a while, since February. So everyone's locked in, ready to go, and here we go.
I'm just hoping, just keep the injury alert text like to a minimum. Like, it's already out of control.
Yeah.
One of the depth edge rushers for the Chiefs already out for the year. A couple bigger ones like Brian Breesy for the Saints, feared torn ACL. So it's like, let's just stop. Let's not do like, we're happy football is back, but man, I hate getting those injury alerts, no matter who it is, right? Like, you kind of just worry because, I think Chargers last year were down their Rashawn Slater like around this time, weren't they?
It was a year from yesterday.
So almost to the day. So yeah, those, you never like getting those, and you kind of hold your breath on some of them, right? And even ones where it's like they left the field early, you just like PTSD, you expect the worst, and you just like refreshing Google or like team pages, like what's happening, please just be sore, like you're tired because this is just started. So we're happy it's here, but fingers crossed that injuries are kept to a very minimum, and especially the critical injuries that can cost players a full season.
I think this is one of the deals with the devil that you make when it's football, is it's going to happen. And obviously we hope none of our team goes through it. We truthfully, if in a perfect world, we hope that nobody gets injured while playing football. Cause we've heard stories of careers cut short because of repetitive injuries or seasons halted. So, all of us, I think, can agree that injuries for the game of football are not great, but they're a part of it. That's what you sign up for. So, fingers crossed that all of our teams stay healthy going into the regular season. We'd hate to have that argument of what if our guy was healthy, and sorry, Corey, I know that's a tough subject, but anyways,
kind of Chargers too, right?
Moved on.
Yeah.
New season.
Yeah. New season, new everything. So, all right, guys, this episode is sponsored by Emporia State Federal Credit Union, Field Ops, and also JVW Solutions, as we're recording out of the JVW Solutions studio. So tonight's episode, we are doing the AFC West positional preview secondaries. Now we're going to be talking about safeties and cornerbacks. And so we're going to go around, and how you have the rundown, Corey. I'm going to assume it's how it's always been, where we go team by team, unless I'm
it's right there. So it's just you when you cover your team, you're going to answer said questions. So we'll start with number 1. then you can go to number 2, number 3. You're keeping it within that time frame, and we're just absolutely kill it tonight.
All right. Well, Austin, I think your secondary is probably the one that I want to hear most from, because you have a returning cornerback and also a young up and coming one that has to fill in. So why don't you break down your guys' secondary and the strengths?
I think the biggest strength, and there's going to be a little asterisk to this, I actually think it's depth. The problem is we don't have that like Pat Surtain on this roster. I think we have 5 or 6 like serviceable corners, like a bunch of people who you're not upset is on the field. You're just hoping 1 or 2 can turn into, quality lockdown corners. And I think it's there with Noel Williams. I think, if you look at his advanced stats and stuff last year, he was kind of a top 15 corner across the board, including run defense. Again, it's not quite the amount of snaps that most people have, but he did qualify for the rankings, grades and all that. So, and then obviously Mansour Delane. Chiefs have had a good track record of drafting and developing corners, not necessarily one this high. But then you had L'Jarius Sneed, who the last time he was healthy was with the Chiefs, and we know he was a good lockdown corner, good enough to get a bag from the Titans, and then was just routinely hurt there. Then you got Kader Kohu. Again, he was hurt last year, was a really good slot corner. The year before that when healthy. And actually, Roland Wallace has actually been getting a lot of time at nickel so far. And he was one who got a lot of snaps last year. So that adds some depth. But then you also have, can Kyer Elam be one of those who fringe roster spot adds experience depth? So at corner, I think strength is just depth, but not necessarily top tier. And then the safeties, I think just experience is the strength there. Bringing in Gilman, who has some experience, and we still have Hicks, who's, 3 or 4 years now, Connor, 3 or 4 years now, and then Kennedy from Oregon. He's a rookie, so he might be rotational, but, there's strength, but there's not a lot of top-end talent right now in safeties or corners. So I like the depth. We need a couple people to emerge to set the tone in the secondary.
All right. Does anyone have any questions before we go on to the next team?
Nope.
No,
Compelling. All right. Ethan, why don't you talk about Ethan, why don't you talk about your Charger secondary and what you see at their strengths?
Biggest strength is one player, which is Derwin James. Derwin James is, outside of Pat Surtain, is probably the best secondary player in the AFC West. He is one of the most versatile players in the entire league. He plays safety. He plays box linebacker. He plays nickel. Last year, he played 43% of his snaps out of the nickel. He actually played 25% of them as a linebacker, which meant he only registered about 40% of his snaps as a safety. So he's not really a safety anymore. He plays pretty much everywhere. Now, biggest strengths of this group is it's pretty much all returning. There's a ton of continuity here. It's a lot of the same players. So it's your Tariq Still, your Cam Hart, your Dean Leonard, Dante Jackson, Derwin James, Tony Jefferson, RJ Mickens, Elijah Molden. These are all players who have been on the team for 2 or 3 years. Also, the scheme, Jesse Minter's scheme, which now Chris O'Leary is running, really helps secondary players. That's why we've seen such a development from these guys over the years. There's almost all of these dudes are late round picks, and they all played well. Now, when we get into weaknesses, which I know biggest concern is in a second, but I'll just say it. There's no top end talent here outside of Derwin. Derwin is like the only top end guy, and he's a phenomenal player, but we really don't have a real corner one, and we really don't have like a real safety one because Derwin doesn't really play there.
Love that.
Anyone got any questions for the Chargers before we move on?
Nope, he actually answered the one question I was going to ask, so well done, Ethan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well polished from your debut episode, back-to-backs. You're crisp.
I know. It helped when I just talked about the secondary for like 20 minutes. So if you want to hear my full in-depth breakdown, you can go watch the other show.
That's right. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe. All right. So I think I'll talk about the secondary that's the most inexperienced within the division. That's the Las Vegas Raiders. So I think it's, we've said it pretty much almost any positional review other than the tight end. This one is probably the one that is, it's full of just, I don't want to say random players, but I mean, we have an Eric Stokes re-signing who's a former first-round pick out of Green Bay who we've, have returning. So him, Jeremy Chin, who is safety, he did okay. Isaiah Palomal, who's returning as well. And then after that, we've drafted Dalton Johnson and Stukes that were both out of Arizona. So we're excited to see kind of that continuity with that in the safety position. In terms of cornerback, we really don't have a number one as well. We have a bunch of rotational guys that are probably going to be shared responsibility, which makes me think that we're not going to play a lot of man-to-man, secondary play. It's going to be a lot of zone and a lot of guys that are going to have to, be across the field throughout a lot of these defensive possessions, which kind of is difficult because the Raiders normally run a zone in general. And, a lot of teams are able to find the soft spot in the zones. And I think that's one of the tough things about, not only transitioning from a 4-3 defense to a 3-4 is now you're asking your cornerbacks to do a lot more to hopefully get that pressure home. And if it's not getting there, then your secondary has a higher opportunity to get burned. A couple of shining spots, though, is we do have some rookies coming into camp that are showing a lot of promise. Masses has already been reported as somebody that could be a guy that is in rotation as maybe being the fourth or the third cornerback, especially when it comes to nickel or dime set packages, because just how versatile he is. And in Cal, he was also very good as well. I think the steal of the draft that we can all agree with was McCoy. If he's healthy, he could be a legit cornerback one as long as he stays on the field and he's developed in the right way. But I think the Raiders are probably going to be cautious in getting him out there just to see how much workload his knee can hold up, or if it does need another procedure to make sure he's 100% good. But I mean, for being a fourth round investment, you can't beat that considering he is first round talent. And as long as he stays healthy, he could be a player on the Raiders defense that goes a long way. A lot of question marks, though, like Darian Porter, who we drafted last season. How is he going to do in year two? Is he going to take that step, considering he's got to have a new defensive coordinator, but has been within that defense last season? Definitely a new secondary coach who's brought in by Kubiak. So it's a lot of familiarity. And if there is a position that makes me the most concerned, of course, it is the secondary. Safety was one of the things I wanted to make sure that we addressed. I would have wished we would gotten a veteran secondary or veteran safety. We did get some rookies, but I think what we're planning on doing is obviously on that 2 to 3 year timeline that we've all kind of been saying that if this was done right by the Raiders and their front office, that they're within 2 to 3 years, it should be competitive. And that I would say includes the defensive side of the ball, especially with, again, they'd have to hit a lot of home runs, but I think they are going to be in the growing phase this upcoming season for a better season, because I feel like these players, when they get some experience, will be a good unit. It's just a lot of them this first, second year, it's a lot of growing pains. And so obviously that's why the Raiders, in my opinion, are the most inexperienced secondary at the moment. Are we going to have flashes? Yes, but I can also see the secondary being the reason why we blow a lead, or teams are able to have great fantasy point outputs. If you got a quarterback that you want to start against Raiders secondary, we're probably going to be one of those teams that you can start against. But, again, the defensive unit as a whole, as we've talked about in our previous episode where we were talking about pressure defense, that all has to kind of coincide to work. You can't just rely on your secondary to make up for what your pass rush is able to do, and then vice versa. So that's what I'll say about the Raiders secondary and my thoughts on it.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, what is the strength?
Honestly, I think the only thing that we have to our advantage is we got a lot of youth on the roster. Like, we don't have anyone that we're keeping on overpaying. It's a lot of kind of prove it deals. And then the strengths are, like, you got guys from top to bottom. And one of the highlights, I forgot to point this out, is Taron Johnson, who we did acquire from Buffalo. He's a guy that's very versatile. So I think a good strength is we have more guys on this unit that are able to be in different situations depending on what that situation calls for. Whereas last year, we had no direction of what we wanted to do in the secondary. I feel like at least this unit, if we put Taron Johnson somewhere like in the slot or on the outside, he would do okay. rather than Darren Porter. He's more just on the outside kind of guy. I don't see him going in the slot, maybe slide him over to nickel. But outside of that, I think the strength is that a lot of these cornerbacks that we have and the secondary, I think they're very versatile in what they can do on multiple spots on the field. And if I had to give a strength.
Cool.
So who's the corner one?
I think Eric Stokes is probably default corner one, just because he's probably the guy that's coming in with the most talent, and he had more of the promise last season of being able to be in a pass defense sense of like being able to hold down his side of the field, or whenever it was thrown his way, he didn't give up a ton of big plays. And then I would say like a close second, borderline first one would probably be Taron Johnson. I don't know if Taron Johnson is going to be the outright one. I feel like the Raiders defense is not going to have like a cornerback 1, 2, and all that. It's going to be just like areas that they're protecting. And that's essentially how their scheme is going to be, because we don't have a Patrick Surtain. We don't have a Derwin James. We don't even have a McDuffie or any of that kind of a staple of a secondary player to just say, hey, this is your guy all game. It's more or less of they're going to have spots in the field that they're responsible for. Sorry. All right. Thanks for the question. So we're going to skip the Broncos because who cares? I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, I'd want to skip the best secondary in the West as well. So
I don't want to hear that.
I mean, obviously their strength is their corners. They're deep. You know, you have Pat, you have your cornerback 1, your cornerback 2, and your slot. That's exactly what you need. They're staples. They're the mainstays. It's continuity. You have Jahdae Barron, who can kind of float around, and I expect him to have the similar role to what he had last year, which would be kind of that floater. If you're going up against a big tight end, you know, he did really well against some of the tight ends last year. And if one of those guys goes down, right, we obviously know that Surtain had a concussion last year, hurt his shoulder, actually. I think last year was his shoulder. So he missed a couple games, but you have Chris Abrams-Drain, who can fill in. You know, obviously everyone knows J-Mac and being one of the top slot corners in the NFL, and Riley Moss, who honestly, he could go be a cornerback 1 for a lot of teams. And that's crazy to say because just a couple years ago, I was obviously the biggest Riley Moss hater. So to see how he's grown and what he's doing, it's you know, it's phenomenal. And then the safeties, obviously with Hufanga and Brandon Jones. A name to watch is Miles Scott. He's a 7th round draft pick out of Illinois. He'll probably get a lot of special teams run. But we know obviously Brandon Jones had some injuries last year as well. PJ Locke moved on. He's with Dallas now. I don't think that'll be as big of a loss as some would think. It does hurt because obviously he was very familiar and did really well at times in Vance's system. So Miles Scott's a guy to keep an eye on. Tyson Anderson's another guy that they signed away from Cincinnati, who's gotten a lot of playing time. It's not just special teams, but he is a special teams ace as well. So you obviously have Devin Key, who's another special teams ace who could be another backup safety. So again, it's just the depth and what they've been able to do. I've said it all along. Vance knows what these guys are best at. Vance always puts these guys in the right situations. And again, you have that front, you got to have that secondary to cover. And obviously with cornerback 1, PS2, it makes everything easier. But we see what that causes for Riley Moss. And I think that's why Riley Moss is taking that next step, is because he's obviously the most targeted corner in the NFL. I think it was 80%. I think it was something around that. But he made the most of it. He's a physical guy. He's going to get those penalties. But at the end of the day, I'd rather him be physical than just get burnt the whole time. So, yeah, it's the strength is definitely the depth, and I like exactly where we're at with this group.
What do you think the chances are that Riley Moss is on the team by the start of the season?
Oh, he'll be on the team. Now, after this season, that's a bigger story because there's quite a few guys, especially in the secondary, that are coming up on contract years. But I truly think Denver wants to keep the band together. Then they're going to have to make that decision. And I still think it's going to be J-Mac. I think you can replace Riley Moss with Chris Abrams-Drain and or Jahdae Barron. So you can't pay both of them. It's a business. You obviously have Pat Surtain, who they continuously restructure his deal. So now I'm curious to see, now that Denzel Ward got his new deal, do they kind of, throw in a little extra guaranteed money towards Pat? They did it, I believe, when Stingley signed his contract, just out of respect for Pat. They obviously aren't going to make him the highest paid guy, but they're going to keep him up there towards the top. So I think that goes to show you what this organization thinks of the young corner.
I'm kind of surprised that Barron won't be the cornerback 2 first round pick. or is it just going to be he's going to be multifaceted secondary?
Yeah, but why ruin what's working? Right? Like, you have a proven secondary. Now, you draft him because Riley Moss wasn't playing very well to begin with, right? I mean, that's just kind of where it was. So you kind of like that corner. You like that production that he has. And that's really good value where you got Jahdae Barron. He probably could have went higher. But, they see where it's at. And again, that, you got to have someone over there because they're obviously going to be getting the target share because they're not throwing at Pat's way very often. And Riley made the right step. And I think Riley felt that pressure and he knew what he had to do. And again, he stepped up. He answered the bell. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for Barron continuing to do his role and what he's doing best because I think that helps his defense out. And I do think when it does come to be his time, he's going to be that much more versatile.
All right. We move on to the next part of this segment, which is our biggest concerns for the secondary. So Corey, I'll let you, once you take a drink, I'll let you kind of answer this. What's your concern with your secondary? Since I think we can probably say universally that Broncos probably have the best unit, but what's the concern for your unit?
Yeah, I mean, it's that one. Can they create turnovers? Hufanga would have led the NFL in interceptions last year if he didn't have hands for hands. And I think I sent multiple group messages and I even put it on Twitter all the time, along with other Broncos content creators and fans. Just catch the damn ball, man. Like, you're doing everything right. Like, I love everything about Hufanga, what he does. But holy cow, man, you got to catch the football. If they're not going to throw it Pat's way, Pat can't get all the interceptions, right? So you got to be able to create those turnovers. You got to be able to help your offense out because obviously we know Denver historically starts slow, right? Mm-hmm. If your defense can get you a couple turnovers here and there to maybe help you out a little bit, maybe get that little fire spark going, then that helps. But yeah, man, that was the biggest concern last year. And I still think going into this season, that's got to be it too, because it just wasn't there when we needed it. Like, you can get the sacks, you can get all those that you want, but can the secondary finish?
And Austin, for the Chiefs secondary, what's your biggest concern with them?
I think it's got to be youth. Chiefs did win a Super Bowl in that 2022 with that 2022 draft with 3 rookies starting at corner. It's very unlikely you strike gold twice like that. So I think it's youth, between Noel Williams, Mansour Delane, like the potential's there, right? Like Noel Williams and his, I don't want to call it limited, a little more than limited snaps last year, was really productive and really well. Mansour Delane, you like to think he'll pan out. Kennedy from Oregon, he's been looking all right, but there's just a lot of youth. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of Chiefs fans are like, well, we did it in 2022, so we can do it again. It's not that easy. Is the potential there? Yes. I think you're going to have early in the season, you're going to have some rookie mistakes. They're young. There's no continuity. I think with what Corey was saying about Denver, with everyone's back and the continuity's there, the Chiefs are the exact opposite. Like, we return Christian Fulton and Noel Williams, but other than that, it's kind of a whole new secondary. So the youth for me, I think by the end of the year, it'll be okay, but I do think there's going to be a learning curve and some bumps along the way because of the youth.
Okay. And Ethan, what's your biggest concern for your Chargers secondary?
Well, I already said it. I think it's a lot of the top end talent, but I'm actually going to talk about something different, which is the loss of Jesse Minter. Jesse Minter was a secondary coach to start his career. When he went to Michigan, he made Will Johnson into a top player until his injury was revealed, and then obviously fell in the draft. But then he gets to the Chargers and he turns 5th round picks into above average starters. He turns Tony Jefferson, a dude off the street who was a scout for a year, into a top 30 safety. He took Elijah Molden, a guy that they traded for a conditional 7th round pick on cut day, and made him into a guy who had 4 picks and was pretty good on the back end. He reinvigorated Derwin James' career, where Derwin was literally benched under Brandon Staley because he wasn't playing well. And then he won 2 All-Pros the next 2 years with Minter. Jesse Minter is a secondary whisperer. Now, I'm not saying Chris O'Leary doesn't have that potential, because he was the safeties coach while all this was happening with the Tony Jefferson and the Elijah Molden part of it all. But Jesse Minter is something different. And it's difficult for me to be like, oh yeah, some of these guys aren't going to take a step back. Like Tariq still was a overdrafted 5th round pick that a lot of people said should have been a UDFA. And he turned into a 4-pick potential. I think he finished 5th in defensive rookie of the year voting that year. Like that's to speak to Jesse Minter. Cam Hart, another 5th round pick, turned into this guy. I already talked about the safety. So the biggest concern is what does it look like without Minter? Because Minter is a fantastic coach.
And I think that's another underrated part of this. We talked a lot when we've been covering, the offensive positions and the addition of McDaniel. Scheme matters, right? Like, we still don't necessarily have a full understanding of what the offense is going to look like, but I think you feel a little bit more confident with McDaniel and what he's going to be able to do with this offense because you've seen a McDaniel offense. It's not necessarily what you're going to get with this defense, especially when you had a top probably 5D coordinator in the NFL and Jesse Minter, who we've seen what he was able to do. So I think a lot of people need to understand scheme's everything. Scheme does matter with these guys.
Well, not only that, but scheme and coaching are pivotal. Like you can always tell when a player's coach well because feels like they outperform what they can do. And then when that coach is gone, they just can't duplicate it again.
And timely play calls
right.
for your defense, right? Like
when to blitz, when to, pull out the stunts, whenever, And
yep. I can speak for Spags. How many times are you watching a Chiefs game and it's like a big moment and everyone's like, Spags will have something to dial up. Now, he didn't last year. Not his fault. Well, kind of whatever. But, that's another aspect that, Jesse Minter just understood what to call and when to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another aspect of, I think O'Leary will be fine and there will probably be a learning curve. But you gotta see if he can get, the play calls as well as Minter did. I think Minter is probably a top 2 or 3 D coordinator, if not the best. So I do think that is a great concern to bring up.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing I will say is like there is still continuity because I don't know how this happened, but none of his assistants went with him to Baltimore. So they're all still in LA. And Chris O'Leary was on the staff and then went and called plays at Western Michigan and then came back. So there is still that part of it, but I still think Minter's like a mastermind and I'm never going to downplay what I think about Jesse Minter.
And you shouldn't because I thought that he should have been a head coach well before this past season. So
yeah.
Cody, I think for you can just say everything.
I mean, it's a lot of things. I think it's youth. If I had to be honest, I think we're in the same camp as the Chiefs. We just have a lot of youth and unknown, but yeah, we have multiple concerns. So, but we'll see though. I'm actually optimistic from training camp. I just think like, obviously when the regular season comes, we'll see what we're at. But again, that's just me trying to not to be too optimistic. So, all right, let's start our starting 5 breakdown, excuse me. So, Ethan, run through your projected starters for your Chargers.
Yeah. This one's a little bit difficult because of the role that Derwin James plays. So just for the record, I have him as the slot corner. I'll say when he plays in the slot versus when he doesn't. So in their base package, when Derwin's in the slot, it is Dante Jackson is their cornerback 1. Tariq Still is their cornerback 2. And then Derwin plays in the slot with Tony Jefferson and Elijah Molden on the back end. Now, when Derwin James moves back to safety or moves into the linebacker spot, Tariq Still moves into the slot and Cam Hart comes onto the field. So that's kind of how it moves. Now, the one guy to look out for in the safety room is who they drafted in the 4th round, which is Genesis Smith. Genesis Smith is a super rangy free safety who cannot tackle for the life of him, but he has all of the ball skills that you want. And Chris O'Leary and the defensive coaching staff said that they do not care about the tackling because that's something they can teach, but you can't teach the instincts of a guy being able, with the speed, with the size, to be able to get out there and retrieve the ball. Now, during OTAs, he was actually taking those snaps away from Tony Jefferson. So we'll see as training camp goes on if he's actually able to get those spots, because if he can be an average tackler, then he's probably going to be a really good safety in this league. Problem is, dude can't tackle at all. So we got to see what that looks like.
All right. I'll build my Raiders real quick, then I'll kick it up to you guys, Shovik. So I think the safeties are pretty explanatory. I've got Chin and I've got Palomeo being the starting centers, but I do think that at some point early in the season, it'll be Dalton Johnson and Stutes. I think they're going to take over the starting roles just because, again, they played in Arizona. They did really well. A lot of the big reason why they were brought in is because of their connection in Arizona and how well they played. But I think by default, you're going to have the veterans that start first. The nickel spot, I think, is going to probably go to Taron Johnson just because that's where he's best served at. Cornerbacks 2 and 1 are probably going to be Stokes. And if I had to guess, if he's healthy, I think McCoy gets into cornerback 2. I think with his talent and if he can maintain the production or the output, he'll be cornerback 2. So I would have Stokes, McCoy, Taron Johnson, and I would have obviously Palomeo and Chin as the projected 5. So, all right, Austin, go ahead with the Chiefs.
Yeah, theirs is a little tough because I don't know where they're going to have everyone. So I'm going to go with what I hope and think. So cornerback 1 will be Noel Williams. I think he proved that last year. Next man up, he's going to be the first man to get that. Cornerback 2, Mansour Delane. He's been wearing the yellow jersey, and when he's wearing that, Sneed has been playing cornerback 2.
Yes, please.
He's done fine. And then nickel, this is the one that I think will be rotating. You'll have Rollins Wallace, Cater Kohu, and then I think Kennedy can play there well. If I have to pick one now, I think it'll be Rollins Wallace. He did really well there last year. He was really the only corner that did well for the Chiefs last year. Ones that got most snaps. So safeties, I think you're obviously going to have Gilman. You didn't pay him like $9 or $10 mil a year to not play him, $8 mil maybe. So he'll be one. And then I think Connor or Hicks, I think there's going to be a battle for that other safety spot. Right now I'm going to go Hicks. So I'll have Noel Williams, Mansour Delane, Roland Wallace, Gilman, and Hicks as the starting 5.
All right, Broncos.
I kind of like this because this is like the easiest episode for me ever. Like,
I know you're not doing any work.
Yeah, it's obviously PS2, Riley Moss, J-Mac, but I think Janae Barron will work in every now and then at the nickel. He'll play dime a lot too if they decided to go that package. And then obviously your free safety is going to be Hufanga and Jones. Yeah, again, it's kind of self-explanatory at this point, and this is a good thing. But I also want to caution Bronco fans that this is going to be coming to an end very, very soon. So you got to enjoy what we have. But yeah, I love the secondary. This is probably my favorite part of the Broncos team.
All right. Next up, so is your group better than it was last year? So Ethan, do you think your Chargers secondary is better this year than last year?
It's the same.
It's exactly the same. Like the only difference is they drafted Genesis Williams, and then literally it's the exact same. Do I think it's better? I guess because they're have another year in the league and another year in the system, but they don't have Minter, so I think it's a wash. I think it's exactly the same. They didn't do anything.
I think the Raiders unit is better on potential talent. I think there's more that's around that secondary that if coached up right and they progress, and again, with Kubiak and this new front office, this new regime, a lot of encouragement, then I think our secondary, if it really plays up to its strengths, I think this secondary is far better than what it was last year. All things considered with what the team looked like last year under Patrick Graham and then the previous coaching staff as well. So, Austin, is your secondary better or worse from last season?
I think it's going to be unpopular opinion, but I think it's better. I was not high on McDuffie ever. I'm not just saying that because he got traded to the Rams. My brother can witness me week after week just saying I didn't like him. I had to repeatedly watch him get burnt, especially against Cortland Sutton of all people. Like, not saying Cortland Sutton isn't great, but if you just routinely, continuously get burnt by Cortland Sutton, like something's wrong. And he's a consensus, top 10 corner. He got paid as such. Madden ratings had him up there. And I just wasn't as high on it. Maybe it's PTSD or something, but I wasn't as high on it. So I think the potential of this secondary is actually more than last year because Noah Williams will play more. Mansour Delane, right now he has top 10 potential. We don't know, but he hasn't played a snap, so we're just going to go top 10 potential since that's where he was drafted. And then I like the Koku signing. That dude was a great slot for the Dolphins a couple years ago before his injury. I like Gilman coming in for Cook. I think that's a wash, but I think Gilman is a little more of a leader than Cook was. Like Cook just brought pain, but I think Gilman does a little bit of everything and has veteran leadership. And then the rest of the safety room's the same. So I personally am more excited with this secondary than I was last year.
Okay. All right, Corey.
Yeah, it's similar to Ethan, and I do like some of these younger guys that they brought in though. So I'm very excited to see, kind of the future, right? Because Miles Scott's going to be, maybe not that household name now, but have a good season on special teams and get some, run in the preseason and set yourself up for the future. Tyson Anderson obviously is proven and what he can do, and I haven't even mentioned JL Skinner yet, and he got outside of he had an injury last year, but when he did get a chance to play, I mean, he looked good. He's finally starting to get healthy and come into his own. So that's just another depth piece right there. But it's a wash because, again, you got to get turnovers, and they just weren't able to do that last year, but they have that potential to do that, and I'm excited for it.
All right. All right. So I'm going to go right back to you, Corey. Then which divisional receiver room will test your group the most?
Yeah, it's probably the Chargers. And again, I don't know. And it's one of those, and I'm not trying to, sit here and say, well, this corner unit shut down George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb last year. They did this, they did that. But, this is going to be a different offense that the Chargers are running. There's going to be a lot more motion. There's going to be a lot more moving. Can Denver communicate? So it's going to test it, right? Like there's a lot of motions. There's a lot of jet sweep actions. Can they keep their assignments sound? So, Ladd, QJ, some of these other guys, and you got to throw in the tight ends, David Njoku, Gatson, some of those. So, not worried about the Raiders at all. The Chiefs, who knows? But give me the, kind of more proven room in the Chargers, I suppose.
All right. Austin?
Yeah, I think it'll have to be Denver. Just Waddle, Sutton, Franklin. They have a nice room. The additional Waddle, I think, kind of tips that a little bit. Before him, I probably would have went Chargers, just with Ladd and QJ. But I think Waddle, whether I like him or not, he is fast, he is good, he has been productive, and I can't ignore that. So I gotta say Denver's receiver room is easily going to be the biggest test.
Let me throw some love in there for you, Cody, real quick. I mean, Bowers obviously we know has had really good success against the Broncos, so there's one. I'll give you one.
Appreciate it. All right, Ethan, what's the wide receiver room that's going to challenge your secondary the most?
I was actually going to take it a different direction. I was going to say the Raiders, like no joke, because I think Bowers and Mayer in the middle of the field is just really dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And while I think the Broncos wide receiving room is good, none of those players are to the level that Brock Bowers is. Like Brock Bowers is the best receiving option in this division. And if there's anyone who can go off for like 200 in any game, it's him. And so plus the Aston Genty part of it, I think what's going to test your secondary is going to be how concerned can you be. Now, the problem with the Raiders is your receiving room is absolutely horrible.
That's why I had no part of the Raiders.
Well, that's how it says receiver room, so I wasn't taking into account the tight ends.
That's what I figured. But, I mean, I think the confusing part, not confusing, but Brock Bowers is used a ton in the receiver packages. Like, you are accounting for him, even though it's not him that is technically in that grouping. But
also, I just wanted to say something different because we're all going to say the Broncos. And so, yeah.
I thought there could be a chance somebody would say the Chiefs just because of the speed. I didn't know if, one of your guys' secondaries is more physical than speedy type deal. You know what I mean? Not saying it's because of talent, but just because of the speed.
I think one thing with the Broncos and Chargers, both with the defenses we've actually played the Chiefs rather well the last, few seasons. It's, it's the late stops for the Broncos that have killed them against the Chiefs, obviously, but, and then for the Chargers, I mean, we seem to play each other really well. So the defenses kind of match up with the Chiefs pretty decently. So, I mean, that's probably why I wouldn't say the Chiefs, because outside of Travis Kelce, before, the time started setting in on him, he was really the one who would beat the Broncos the most. But I think Denver, with the addition of Jahdae Barron, has kind of helped with that a little bit.
Hey, victory lap. I'm a Chiefs representative, bro. Anyway.
Guess not.
It's not like we have a, Chiefs flag, the Mahomes.
Travis Kelce and Mahomes.
Yeah, so it's just like no Chiefs representation on the show.
The Chiefs' reign is over. He declared it.
Yeah. Breaking news, guys. All right. So for the Raiders, it's everyone's receiving room. Like, we have to worry about everybody. That's my different answer. It's not just the Broncos, Chiefs, or the Chargers. It's all of them. Like, everyone in the division has a good receiving room. We've talked about this on a previous episode. Even with the Chiefs presumably having some question marks, they still have a really good unit. Like, in general, could it be better? Sure. But, if everyone is healthy, like Rashee Rice is healthy, if Xavier Worthy is healthy, that's a dangerous unit. If more of those guys get involved, like Thornton, it's a dangerous unit. Broncos, of course, with Jalen Waddle. Chargers with McConkey, QJ. It's a dangerous division in general. So we're going to get tested every divisional game. There's not one room that is superior than the other to the Raiders. It's everyone is above right now. We're just trying to make sure that we don't, get blown out by 30 like we did last year. So
I would actually kind of enjoy that if it happened again.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I think
I would not show up to the shows if that were the case. I'm not doing
That's a lie. You would take your whoopings like a man.
No, I'm not doing this again. I can't have it for my mental
health. It's good for ratings.
Yeah.
It's good for ratings.
You will do it. All right. All right. So quickly, who's the X factor on your unit that could take it to the next level? Ethan, you go first quickly.
I'm going to pick Tariq Still. I think Tariq Still is your inside flex. And I think he's shown flashes that he can turn into like a very, very good player. And so I think if he takes another step and actually becomes a corner one, I think it could really help the Chargers a lot.
All right. Austin?
Yeah, I hate this answer because it's unfair to him, but I think it's Mansour Delane. I'm pretty confident in Noel Williams being at least a decent number one, whether it's top tier cornerback one or just, kind of mid tier one. But I think we saw enough last year for me to be confident in him. So if Mansour Delane steps up and can assert himself as the opposite corner to Noel Williams, I think that would take the unit to a whole nother level.
All right. And then Corey.
It's Riley Moss again. It's got to be Riley Moss. We've got to have him step up like he did last year. He's going to give up those, plays. He's going to give up those penalty yards. But if he can continue to play physical like he did last year, take a little pressure off PS2 and let J-Mac take care of the slot, then, the secondary is going to be just fine. So it's Riley Moss for me again.
All right. Mine would be McCoy, of course. Like, if he's healthy, he's going to really be that player that's going to advance this unit into future seasons. And I'm really hopeful that he can obviously stay injury-free during training camp because, again, coming off of a major knee injury, which took him out of the rest of his college career. So
there's 0% chance this guy plays this year, right? Like, he's not playing this year.
Who?
McCoy.
He could.
Seriously?
There's a possibility.
So how do we go from possibly having a second surgery to all of a sudden he's going to be a player? How about that?
It was
Good
just
for the Raiders.
Yeah, it was just a lot of question of like how his rehab went, and again, like
a lot of teams off on it.
I mean, it'd make me very happy. But yeah, we'll see.
The concern wasn't whether he could get back to the field; it's once he gets on the field if it's going to survive.
Right.
Yes.
That's
like
fair.
they were recommending the second surgery because as soon as he gets on the field, it could explode again.
Give him the old syringe. I see what you're doing over there. Hell yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Hey.
Just rub some dirt on it.
Yeah.
All right. So All right. I don't think I'm off track now, but great in prediction. So, Ethan, what would you give your cornerback room a grade?
I think it's a solid B+ room. Like, I think it's like overall, like, if you were to rank teams, it's probably in between like 15 to 12. Like, it's above average because of Derwin James, but I think overall the room itself is pretty average. They just have an elite player within it. So I feel pretty confident, like B+. There's no star here outside of Derwin. So it's definitely not an A unit.
All right, Corey?
Yeah, I mean, Denver's an A. Outside of Derwin James, he's probably the only one that could come into Denver and be a starter and be obviously a superstar right away, which that kind of tells you all you need to know about how decent this secondary is. Could be an A+ unit if they'd catch a damn ball. I do know that.
They might this year.
Fingers crossed.
Put the stick 'em on the gloves, guys.
No
Austin?
shit.
Yeah, I think it's B+ ish. I think there's still a lot of potential and unproven talent in that room. You know, we don't even have somebody with the experience of like Tarheeb Steele, which I think this has gone into his third year. And, you know, we're rolling on Noel Williams, who's going into a second year, a rookie, a guy who's coming off another year that was injured, and then Snead, who was also injured. So it's like, I think the potential is there, but it's still unproven. So you can't overgrade that. I do think, you know, if we revisit this at the end of the year, it could bump up to that B+, A- range with the potential. But right now, with the inexperience, it's got to be in that B+ range, like 86.4%.
All right. I would say my Raiders are probably sitting at about a C to C+ as of
Too
today.
high.
Probably.
See, I want to say this about the Raiders for you, Cody.
You said this last year too, by the way.
No, I said it about Riley Moss, and you basically dug my grave for me, and now look at us. I like the Raiders secondary more than probably most people because I think Chin is underrated.
Yeah.
Taron Johnson at his best is one of the best nickel corners. Stokes isn't terrible. I do think you have some outside work on your corners to do, but I think Stokes is serviceable. And then if anyone between Masses, McCoy, and Porter can do okay on the other side, I don't think that secondary is as bad as people are. Now, I'm not saying this is going to rival the Texans, the Broncos, the Eagles, but I do think there's a little more potential there than people are giving it credit for. I think they just need that second outside corner. They need one person to step up there. And then they need Stokes to prove that he can just handle his side, which he did okay last year. He's been okay in his career. So I do think your secondary, a little better. I don't think your grade was too high. For starters, but I do think it's better than people give credit for.
Yeah, I think what's difficult is we're going off of last season's performance. And again, like if we're going to say that Jesse Mentor leaving the Chargers is a huge hit to that secondary, then we'd also have to say that at least getting rid of what the coaching staff was on the Raiders is a positive for them. Right.
Raiders have never had a coach at the level of Jesse Mentor. Let's just
no, he was.
Wait.
Hold on.
Patrick Graham was a good defensive coordinator.
But he's not Jesse Mentor.
He's not. Season out of 4 years, and that was with AP as an interim head coach. That was probably their best defensive unit that we've seen ever, like very rarely. And Ethan is going to grab his Magic City wings real quick, guys. So just hang tight. But but what I'm trying to say is like the Raiders secondary, like what Austin said, which I'm trying to say is it needs to be coached up. It needs to develop. And what we have is not going to be like what's going to run the league. And I'm not even saying that we're in that position, but I do think that this unit is going to be more improved to where we're in a position to where the secondary is not going to be as defenseless as it was last year. I think last year was like bottom of the rung, pitiful. You see cornerbacks literally quitting on plays. I don't think it's going to duplicate that this season.
Your second corner is the only one where you don't really know what you're getting. Johnson's a veteran. Stokes is a veteran. Chin, Palomau, like these dudes are veterans. Now you have the youth movement behind them, but I think just with the veterans you have, like it's still going to be not a great unit, but I think there's enough veterans back there and you know what you're getting.
Right.
that, there's going to be some decent moments for him.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys, let's quickly rank the cornerbacks. I'm just going to say we're 4.
Rank the secondaries, not the corners.
Sorry, second. It doesn't matter. We're still 4. It doesn't matter. So
there you go.
It could be secondary, it could be cornerback, be linebacker. We're 4. All right.
I think I know how everyone's is going to go, and then mine and Ethan will flip number 2.
Well, I'll say it's Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders. That's the order I would say.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree. I don't need to say anything.
It's all unison.
No, I have Chiefs too.
Awesome.
Chiefs too. Okay.
We don't have a Derwin James, but I still like the potential. I think we have a chance to have a better cornerback room. I mean, Dante Jackson's like, 31 now? So he's getting up there in age. I like Tarheeb Steele, but year 2, he was a little down compared to his rookie year. Cam Hart's pretty decent. I like Cam Hart. Like, Derwin James is that secondary, and I would love 12 Derwin James on my team. I would trade my whole secondary room for him, but I like the potential Chiefs have at corner to step up and be a better unit than the Chargers.
This is off task, but I am kind of curious. Derwin James can play pretty much every position on defense. How good of a defense do you think it would be if you had 12 of him?
It would be the best defense in football.
I think half of it would get thrown out of the game.
Yeah, I guess that is true. There'd be personal.
there would be a lot of
roughness.
Second unnecessary roughness tossed from the game. So
yeah, I mean, I'm picking Derwin James up for Denver and putting him at linebacker immediately.
Facts.
Like, he would be immediately the best linebacker on the Broncos.
I think another side note, Ethan, is like, how bad of a coach is Brandon Staley for benching a dude like that? Like,
well, that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah,
here we go.
Oh, you get maybe I'll just get on
crash out. Here we go.
5 minutes.
Well,
you know what?
When we had DJ on, he was talking about his adversity when Todd Haley benched him, and like,
right.
That's the group that we're going to throw Brandon Staley in. Like, how do you bench your like all pro? Like, Derwin James is a Hall of Famer, DJ's borderline, but like, how are you going to bench a dude like that?
Well, like, so I will say, my opinion of Brandon Staley was kind of controversial because I really liked how analytical he was and how aggressive he was for it on 4th down because his defense sucked. And so it was like, you gotta like have your offense on the field as much as possible. But he was a defensive guy. And so like the fact that I had to say his defense was bad and he had to rely against his own defense should tell you enough about what kind of coach he was.
Yeah, that's like if McDonald went to Seattle and you were talking about how bad their defense was.
Right.
Like, that wouldn't make any sense. But yeah, I'm sure we can have an episode about that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Final, I'd say 10-ish minutes of the show. So League Recon, Kyle Shanahan, Niners head coach, got into a pretty scary car accident. Fortunately, I mean, he suffered some injuries. I think a couple of broken ribs, I think was reported. Thankfully, nobody perished.
Almost lost his eye.
Did he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, like 40 plus stitches on his face, severe concussion. Like,
yeah,
I mean, it was a lot.
I think
it was pretty bad.
I think the cause of the accident was he just looked at his phone.
Dropped his
He
phone.
said he dropped his phone.
Yeah. Jeez.
Don't text and drive, people.
Yeah, it's a scary thing. Do you guys remember
all of St. Louis?
Fucking serious though.
You guys remember seeing all those campaigns that were like, "Don't text and drive," and
they show people just
yeah.
And then I see PD next to me on their phone. So.
Well, they're actually trained. So like there's a lot
right.
like they're trained for it, whatnot.
Right.
But
I've been training for 30 years, bro. Oh.
Yeah, there you go. I did see that. Speaking of that last comment, I did see a post on social media today that says the season hasn't even started. And Niners already have their coach on IR.
Death, taxes, and Niners players injured.
Well, they're worried about Pearsall's knee already too.
Yeah, it's PCL injury. Yeah.
I know you touched on it earlier, but the amount of injuries today was insane. Shamar Stewart probably out here. There's that receiver from the Panthers who's probably
the rookie Brazil.
Brazel.
Oh,
and then there's Brian Brzee.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I hate this.
All you guys getting ready for your fantasy drafts, hold your breath to next month.
I know. This is why I campaign that no fantasy draft should start any sooner than like the last week of August.
We did that one year, and we
Who did the Panthers lose on defense?
it was
They
one of
lost
the
Nick
first ones. Nick Scorton.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. So like Panthers, man, Panthers the new Niners, everybody.
I don't know
mean,
about that.
these are just like freak, like
Yeah.
That was a wet
First year
field.
back.
So like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah. And I get all those texts and I see highlights of Mahomes jumping up and down on his knee, and I'm like, dude, sit your ass down. Like,
I know there's a lot of hype that he's full go in training camp. So
he was doing jumping celebrations on that leg. So I mean, it's different than gameplay, but I'm just saying with
Right.
all these injuries, like, sit down, bro.
I don't know if you saw, but Chase Daniels actually put out a pretty interesting video about if Mahomes is 100%. And he was like, he's not. He's basically throwing everything from his arm and nothing. Mechanically, it's like all off and it's not coming from his leg.
I saw another one did a side by side and it looked exactly the same. So I don't know, Chase Daniels trying to get some clicks, but everything that they did a side by side from him last year to some throws in camp, and it looked. I mean, I'm not a trained eye by any means, but
time will tell.
I doubt he's 100%.
I think one thing you can guarantee is when Mahomes comes back, he's not going to look like the Mahomes before. And I think we've seen like multiple quarterbacks who have coming back from like a ACL or Achilles. There's a confidence factor, and you can tell like they don't play like they did pre-injury because they're favoring it. Kirk Cousins is the first one that comes to mind when it comes to his Achilles. You can tell he was favoring his leg like crazy. Aaron Rodgers, the same thing. And then Tom Brady, when he came back from his crazy ACL and MCL injury and all that stuff, he just wasn't Tom Brady, but it took him a little bit longer to get used to it. And then, you adapt. So I think that's what we'll see from Mahomes. Like, will he be ready for week 1? Probably, but he's probably going to be very timid at first until he's like confident enough to do what he can do on that knee.
I better see some absolute just
I think
blitzes out the ass from Vance Joseph week 1.
I think you're
Jail-
still like
jailhouse.
a full year away for him actually being 100%.
Oh yeah.
That's like he's only going to get cleared if he's healthy enough, but it's a whole different. That's closer to season stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next piece of league recon business is Denzel Ward of the Cleveland Browns is now the top paid cornerback. What do you guys think about that?
31.1 milli.
He's better than McDuffie.
Just setting the market for PS2 and Gonzo, I guess.
I saw something in a
And Devon Witherspoon.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw someone post this, and I don't remember who. I'd love to give credit to the person who said this, but Browns are supposed to be in a rebuild, right? It's like, why pay this guy 31.1 million to be on bad team? Like, you could have done right by him, moved him, got more draft capital. He would have commanded some good, draft capital to help with this said rebuild. Instead, you gave him 31.1 million, and this team's not going to be going anywhere in the next probably 5 years. So it's like, I mean, I get it. Good for him. He's obviously been on our Mount Rushmore of corners since we've been doing our show. So congrats to Denzel, and I mean, get your bag, man.
Yeah, Todd Monken's going to have a good defense to coach, but it's that offensive side of the ball that's going to be...
That defense will regress because that was all shorts. And obviously once he left and Myles Garrett's obviously gone, that defense will regress a little bit.
Yeah. It's not going to be nearly as tough as it was last season, but
Also,
they've got good pieces.
seeing a tweet about Deshaun Watson was like seeing a ghost. I was like, I can't believe this guy still exists.
They did extend Grant Delpit as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think
I saw
roughly
that.
16 mil a year.
Well, you got
I
enough
think.
young players on offense. So
And defense. I mean, between Schlesinger, Verse, Graham. I think Denzel's getting a little up there, but you know, it's the Browns. Who knows what they're doing?
let's get to the biggest story of the times.
Yeah. Ethan, what happened with Herbie? What's going on?
Finally got a ring.
Justin Herbert's becoming Justin Beer and taking
That's-
her last name.
That'd
and
be...
getting the top selling jersey of all time.
He should do that. That'd be
Dude. Yeah.
sick.
No, I mean, congratulations to Justin. I love all
Can't
those
believe
Charger
he wouldn't
fans.
be a training camp for this.
I know. How dare he? And then he was
I know.
there today, and everyone was like, why didn't they post him on social media yesterday? And I'm like, why do you? Because he was doing something else. We all know what he was doing. What was funny is the best quote of the day, though. One of the reporters asked Justin, they're like, how much preparation did you have to do for the engagement? And he went, I did more preparation for that than my first start. I was like, oh, that's true, because Tyrod Taylor got stabbed 30 seconds before the game started.
That is true. I remember that. And he came out and torched the fucking Chiefs.
He played so well.
It got Anthony Lynn like fired. Like that's like, yeah, no, you're not the guy.
I think Chiefs still won, but Herbert went off.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chiefs did win.
What's funny is whenever there's going to be, I can already envision whenever the Chargers have a loss and Herbert doesn't play like perfect, they're probably going to say, well, this is what happens because he missed the voluntary mini camp at the start. He was gone because he was with Madison Beard and doing the European tour or whatever. And then he gets engaged and he's distracted. It's her fault that, he's not playing as well as he could have. I can envision that's what's exactly going to happen. Yeah, he was
distracted. Like the dude's like 38 now, I think.
Because there's nobody else in the league that has a spouse or a partner that they spend time with, right?
Not on that level though.
Nobody has a spouse like Maddie Beer and Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the closest would maybe be like Josh Allen with Haley
Steinfeld. That's
but
right.
Like that's still not. I don't know. I mean, I wish I was one of those guys' shoes. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm not. So here we go.
Well,
Getting their ultimate sugar mamas.
I sent it yesterday. I'm like, I wonder what their prenup looks like because they both have so much independent money and accrued wealth. Like, what does that even look like? Because they got engaged less than a year of dating. Because they started dating last year during Chargers training camp is when all the stuff came out.
I'd like to take a look at theirs and then Swift's and Kels.
Swift's and Kels is like probably the
it's all her.
The holy grail. Like,
she clearly has more money, but Kels and them signed that like $300 million podcast thing.
That's a tour. That's one tour for her. Like
she's exactly,
but that's one concert, not even the tour.
Both are still wealthy.
She's not going to want any part of his money.
Well, what it'll probably be is like, at this point on, like assets divided. It's probably like granular in that sense, like, and I imagine it'll be the same thing for Justin Herbert and Madison Beard. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, that's
we got big news for Vegas.
Yeah,
right. Kirk Cousins was named QB1 in camp, which no surprise. I don't know why people are shocked. It was like the leading story in ESPN this morning, and I was like, you guys are making really nothing out of nothing. This is
I can think of some Raider fans who are sad it's not AOC.
I bet. Which is wild because this more of the question should be, is he even going to be on the roster at the end of training camp? Not necessarily a starter, but
you could probably go look at one page and they'll probably think you could trade AOC for a first or second round pick.
They probably they're probably like, give me AOC over Mahomes, and
the first bad game from Cousins, and then Mendoza comes in and doesn't play well, and then you do get rid of AOC. They're gonna be so pissed. Like AOC wouldn't have done this.
Yep. No, AOC would have won that game.
Well, AOC was the quarterback of that game that they beat the Chiefs, where they literally didn't complete a pass in the second, third, and fourth.
Correct.
Quarter.
He only completed 6 total passes the whole game, 1 in the second half. Yeah.
Yeah. Mahomes threw 1 or 2 pick sixes, and that's how you guys scored.
Yeah.
No, I have to end this. No, AOC would not start for any team. No, he would not.
Yeah, can we? Yeah, let's not start this.
Yeah. Kyler Murray, him and JJ might be a competition.
It shouldn't.
But then Kyler Murray still clears.
Yeah, and
Tua's hurt, by the way.
Tua is hurt.
The only way that AOC starts for Atlanta or Minnesota is because everyone's injured. That's the only way he starts. He is not going to be acquired by a team and dubbed their starter.
Those weren't even the worst quarterbacks, like say Browns.
AOC can come be the St. Louis Battlehawk quarterback.
He would probably do pretty well. I don't know if I think Shedeur Sanders is a better quarterback than AOC. So yeah, go put him on the Browns.
It's disrespectful to even put in the conversation. Shedeur Sanders is a much better quarterback.
Exactly.
Yeah. Then again,
I don't forget about him. I just think Deshaun.
I'm sorry. I should. Right. This is on me. This is my fault. I should have. I should have known better than to.
You brought up the name.
Yeah, I know.
Whoa.
Shame.
Well, at least it's better than all the Eagles fans who think that they're going to trade Tanner McKee for a first-round pick.
That's so wild.
We can't control what Philly fans think either. So it's just like,
I'm surprised I don't want him to start over Hurts.
Yeah,
they probably do.
It's getting there.
There's got to be a small. I'm sure there's a percentage that wants that to happen.
No, they were literally like, maybe Andy Dalton is the answer in Philly, and I'm like, what are we doing? Who are you?
the red.
It's
rocket.
because that person started the rumor that says that the asking price for McKee was like a second or a third rounder, and they're like, "Well, we could probably end up getting a one for him." And it's like, in what world? If I'm gonna give up a first, it's damn sure not gonna be for Tanner McKee.
You're gonna go try to get like a like at least a good backup.
I know Howie Roseman's the dude, but if he
does.
I don't know.
If he pulls that off, he deserves the Executive of the Year award. No,
then
not
the
even,
other GM should be fired. Like that's.
What if he got AOC?
Ooh.
You know what? Rest my case. You're right. Shit.
At this rate, the Raiders might as well trade Max for Tanner McKee.
I know. In fact, you guys want Mendoza on top of that? We'll get
like,
McKee,
wow.
that's it.
Tanner McKee's the answer to everything. So here we go.
Has he actually started a game in the NFL? I know he's played some snaps.
I think he started 1 or 2 games last year.
It was the year that the Eagles were the 1 seed. He started the last game of the year.
Oh, was that him? I thought they had the other dude. Damn. I thought they had Kenny Pickett who did that.
They did.
Oh, that might have been Pickett.
It might have actually been him.
That was Super Bowl winning Kenny Pickett. Yes, that was him.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got on this tier of quarterbacks when we were probably one of the best divisions of quarterbacks in football.
You know what? Maybe one episode we should rank quarterbacks better than AOC and see how many we can get through.
I can think of a friend or two who might lose their mind over that.
Yeah.
Like just get through like 70 names.
Should we open it up to the UFL as well?
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean,
I heard the Canadian Football League has some good prospects.
Dear God,
this is wild.
Cody.
By the way, yeah. So I just want to say for show notes here, what is it? His career stats, Tanner McKee is what I'm saying. Less than 62%, less than 600 yards, and 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. So yeah, golden boy there.
Sounds like a first round.
I'd give up my first round pick for that in a heartbeat.
Would you give up Josh Allen 7 first round picks though for that? Just mortgage the whole future while you're at it.
I draw the line at 5 of them.
I would just trade Josh Allen straight up for him.
Why do you need
all those other picks?
Yeah, I mean, if this guy's him,
you gotta love fans sometimes. I tell you what.
It. All right, we got to
gaslighting their own people. Hey,
that was like the Vita Vea thing of like the guy being like, I'm gonna be conservative here, and I think we only trade a 4th and a 5th to get him. And I'm like, what?
Look, I know he's old and is gonna have a new contract, but like, still throw some respect at Vita Vea, okay?
Right.
Like, disrespectful. Like Lawrence got a first, and they're 2 years different in age.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, you're not getting him for a 4th and a 5th, or he would have already been traded for a second.
Yeah, the Raiders would have happily
thrown.
Yeah, the Raiders would have happily given every 5th or 4th round pick to here until 3 seasons from now to get that service. Yeah.
Well, it's like your Raider pages think you're going to trade Mayer and like a 2nd round pick for Justin Jefferson. Like, just stop.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. No.
We're going down a hole I don't want to. So
I kind of enjoy that.
I know.
Some of the stuff we see
is wild. All right, guys, let's go home. So first off, thank you to Emporia State Federal Credit Union and Field Ops for sponsoring the show. Shout out to JBW Solutions, Jeff and the team. Appreciate you guys. We're recording out of the JBW Solutions studios. You guys can follow us on all of the social media platforms as you can see down below. We've got Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and YouTube, West War Room Rivals. And you guys can subscribe to the YouTube channel where we also have Beyond the Rivalry, which is our interview series. Ethan has his Aftershock show, and we will be debuting. What's the new show, Corey, that you and Matt will be doing this season?
So Orange and Blue Debrief.
That's right. All things Denver Broncos, and the Aftershock is all things Chargers. I guess, Austin, you and I need to come up with our own team-specific shows. So
we got time.
Yeah, we do.
Not really. Right. I think we're like 42 days away from kickoff. 43. So
still too long. All right, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. We will see you guys on the next episode. We'll see you.